Hi everyone, thanks for joining me this morning. I'm Caroline. I'm obviously a yoga teacher, and this morning I'm going to do a half an hour session just around stretching out the body. So one of the ways I like to describe yoga is it means union actually, or coming together, connection. So we're trying to work with the breath and the body and the mind. And with the case of sports and athletics, your muscles can get very tight. So I describe it like fists. And actually what we're trying to do is stretch them out. So you want to strengthen the muscles to support your body, but you also need a little bit of flexibility to avoid injury. So we're going to work through the body and stretch the body out. It'll be quite a gentle class this morning. In the mornings our body tends to be tighter, our muscles can contract overnight, and so it takes a while for the body to warm up. So we'll do that. If you're outside, fab, enjoying the sunshine, brilliant. If you're not, enjoy the space, your mat, the floor, wherever you are. We're going to start lying down. So come to lying down. We're going to be semi-supine, and that basically means we're lying down with our knees bent. Have a little bit of a gap between your feet, and when you place your feet, just make sure the toes are pointing forwards, okay? So your feet are parallel. And then we're slowly going to lie down. And we always begin yoga or yoga class connecting with our breath. It's really important to breathe correctly in yoga, but this also helps any sports or activities you do. The more you can breathe, the bigger your lung capacity, the stronger and the fitter you'll feel. So bringing your hands to your belly, you might want to close your eyes. Allow your shoulders to soften. And in yoga, we breathe in and out through our nose. So if that's possible today, I'm going to invite you to try that. Obviously, if you're a bit blocked up or coldy, or maybe suffering from hay fever, breathe in any way that feels comfortable to you this morning. And we're going to start to connect and notice our breath. And all we're doing here is noticing where we can feel it. So often our body forgets how to breathe correctly, so the breath moves into the upper chest a little bit more. So with the hands on your belly, as you breathe in, try directing the breath into the belly. Expanding the belly, expanding the lungs and the rib cage, and expanding the upper chest, and breathing out. You may notice that the rib cage on the floor is expanding. You might feel that pressure of the back pushing into the floor. Over half our breath that goes into the lungs goes into the back of the lungs. So we're really trying to utilize the breath, use the lungs to their full capacity. And if it helps, you can imagine a glass of water. You're filling a glass of water, so you're filling your body with the breath, starting with the belly, coming into the lungs and into the upper chest. I'm going to take 3 more slow, deep breaths here. We all have a different breathing rate, so we'll be finishing at different times. When you've done those 3 breaths, gently opening your eyes. We're going to take hold of our right leg just under our knee. So you can clasp the hands under your right knee. There's a slight bend here. Just allow your shoulders to soften. So rather than having your shoulders up by your ears, gently allow them to soften down. We're trying to keep this openness here in the chest. And then we're going to reach up through the heels. So this is either going to feel okay, it might feel very tight this morning, but what we're trying to do is flex the foot. So we're not pointing the foot, it's flex. The heel is reaching up to the sky or the ceiling, and we're supporting our leg here. And it's safe to straighten the leg, the knee joint, can take quite a battery, but when we're lying down, the knee's not got any, it's not weight bearing. So we can really straighten the leg up and reach through the heel. Now, the muscles all down the back of the leg that make up the hamstrings, we're trying to lengthen those at the moment. And coming back to that breath we started with, so trying to keep the breath long, slow, and even. From here, keeping the right hand on the right leg, we're taking it out to the right hand side. So we're not going too far, we're going to try to keep the hips and the pelvis level. If it helps, you can let the left knee fall out to the left side just a little bit. It's like a counterbalance. Reaching through that right heel. And this is getting into the pelvis and the hip area. So if we run or cycle or do a lot of sports, this is an area that can get really quite tight. And then gently coming back up to centre, bring that left knee back up, make sure the knee's tracking up to the ceiling. And then we're going to take the right leg across the body. Now this is often the one where a bit deeper breathing is needed. Again, we're trying to keep the hips down, the pelvis down. You're reaching through that heel. We're getting into the IT band here. Now this is, rather than muscles, it's actually all just connective tissue down the side of the leg. But it gets really tight. Still reaching through that heel. Coming back up to centre and giving that knee a bit of a hug. So gently bringing the knee in and letting it go. Getting into the hip area. One more time, giving it a little bit more of a hug. And then let go. And we'll do everything on the other side. So in yoga, we're trying to create a sense of balance between the body. We don't have a symmetrical body. Our skeletons aren't symmetrical. Our muscles aren't symmetrical. But we're bringing that balance and evening out the body by stretching the body. So we're taking the left leg out, up, clasping the hands behind the left leg and reaching through the heel here. So just notice if there is a difference. We're always dominant on one side. So one side is going to be tighter than the other. Just make sure your shoulders haven't come up around your ears. Drop the shoulders down. And remember, you really straighten the leg here. If it's very tight and a little bit sore, bend the knee. Take it back a notch. Make sure you're still breathing, especially if the muscles are tight. We might be holding the breath. So coming back to that breathing we started with, breathing into the belly, into the ribcage, into the lungs, and into the upper chest. From here, we've got the left hand behind the left knee, and we're taking the left leg gently out to the left-hand side. So we're not going too far. We want to tip the whole body to the left. We're still, our shoulders are still on the floor, the pelvis is still even, balanced. And then you can take the right knee and allow that to fall out to the right-hand side as a counterbalance. Again, notice if it's a little bit more tight on this side or not. Still reaching through that heel. And then gently coming back up to centre. And we're going to take the left leg across the body now. Make sure the right knee is still pointing up to the ceiling. You can support the leg with the hands behind the knee again. And we're getting into that IT band that runs all the way from the hips all the way down to the ankle. From here, coming back up to centre and giving that left knee a hug. So bringing it in and letting it go. So we're just gently stretching out the body, making some space and some length in the muscles and the ligaments. And then place both feet on the floor. So we're still lying down in our semi-supine position. We're going to take the right ankle and place it on the left leg. So it's just below the knee and the thigh. We've come into that sort of 4 shape there. Now, we're going to keep our hands on the floor. So have the palms on the ground or on the floor. And then gently bring that left leg in. So we're not going to use our hands to hold our legs. And this is to avoid the crunching up of the neck, the shoulders. We want the shoulders and the neck to be really relaxed so we can breathe into the lungs here. This can be quite tight, especially in the glutes. Maybe you can bring that left leg in a little bit further. If it's really tight, stay here, breathe here. If you feel you want to stretch that right hip and glute a bit more, you can take the right hand and gently push the right thigh away from the body a little. But we're using all our strength here as well, so rather than holding it and supporting it, we're using the strength of the muscles to get a stretch. Remembering to breathe. And gently take that left leg down. We'll go on to the other side. So the right foot is planted, the toes feel like they're pointing forwards. We're going to lift the left leg up, take the outside of the left ankle and place it on the right knee. So exactly the same on the other side. The palms are on the floor, and we're going to bring the right leg in. So just notice again if there's a real difference between the two sides. One of my first yoga teachers years ago used to say, if you've got one side tighter than the other, you need to do that side twice. Remembering to breathe, especially if it's tight. And then if you want a little bit more, know that you take the left hand, the left thigh, and push it away just a touch. Gently bring the right foot back to the floor and give both knees a hug. So any of these stretches can work on the lumbar spine, the lower back, and just giving the knees a hug loosens everything off. We're going to roll to one side and push ourselves up. We always do that in yoga, it's a bit kinder to the body. This is where I'm going to take my glasses off. If you're wearing glasses, you might want to take them off. We're going to come into something called extended child's pose. So my big toes are together and my knees are wide apart. So I've got this V shape. And ideally, you want the glutes sitting on the heels, the bottom on the heels. That's going to stay there. Now, if it's really quite sore on the feet, you can wedge something in between the knees. You can have a rolled up cushion or blanket or something like that to take the pressure off the feet. We're going to come here and then we're going to slowly pad our hands forward. The hands are shoulder width apart, gently taking our hands forward, remembering the glutes, the bottom's stuck to the heels, and you're looking forwards or towards the ground. You want to try and keep the neck here in line with the spine. That's just to keep the neck happy and safe. You're pushing into the fingertips, you might notice a little bit more length in the back. Maybe you can creep the hands forwards, maybe your head comes all the way to the ground. It doesn't matter if it doesn't, because we're all working with very different bodies and different skeletons. We'll all look very different in each yoga pose. From here, very gently coming up to sitting. As an ankle stretch, it's really, really good for the tops of the feet. So what we're going to try and do now is stretch the toes and the tops of the feet. It can feel really strong if you're not used to doing it. It looks a little bit like this. We're kneeling, okay? So make fists to begin with and have your fists around, just sort of parallel next to your knees. From here, pushing in the fists, pushing into the fists, and lifting the knees just a little bit. Now that might be enough to get a bit of a stretch across the top of the feet and the ankles. You might feel you're able to come up a little bit higher. If this is tight, if this is a bit sore, slowly come out and then come back in again. Make sure you're breathing. You can come in and out. If that feels okay, you can try and come up a little bit further and have the hands sort of next to the hips. You might even want the hands and the thighs. It's usually very sore if it's the first time you've done it. It can be quite tight. But again, just talking about the flexibility, you want to strengthen the ankles and strengthen your muscles, but you also want some length, some give, a bit like elastic bands. And then we'll slowly come back down. We're going to tuck our toes and stretch our toes out. So again, really simple stretch. We don't often pay much attention to our feet and our toes. So I'm going to physically spread my toes out on the floor, just because they won't do it on their own. And then I'm sitting on my heels. Now again, you can make fists and have your body weight a little bit further forward, or you might be able to sit on your heels quite happily there. So it's just the toes on the floor here, and my glutes are in contact with my heels. If you're here sitting up really tall, if you're forwards, just encourage the shoulders away from the ears. We've got a tendency to do this. Drop those shoulders away from the ears. So stretching the toes, and again, this is another simple stretch for the feet, but it could be, it might feel very sore this morning if you're not used to doing it. And gently coming out of that stretch. Give the toes a wiggle. We'll straighten the legs out here. Windscreen wipe of the feet, just left and right, point the toes. Creating some movement. So the movement's coming all the way from the hip joint here. Lovely. And then when I come onto all fours, you might be familiar with this stretch. The main thing here is to have the hands flat on the ground. So I'm just going to show you. In yoga, we call it something called hatha bandha. It's like a hand lock. But this is to keep the body really safe. So we're looking for the middle fingers to point forwards. If you know you're very flexible, maybe even hypermobile, you can turn the thumbs in a touch. So rather than the middle fingers pointing forwards, it's the fourth finger, the finger next to the little finger turning in just a little bit and facing forwards. So just know that you can make that adjustment if you're hypermobile, you're super bendy. We want the inner elbows to point inwards, the hands are under the shoulders, the knees are under the hips. We're going to breathe in and look forwards and tip the belly towards the floor. And breathe out to arch the spine towards the sky of the ceiling and look towards the knees. Breathing in to look forwards, drop the belly, the sitting bones are going up to the ceiling. And breathing out to push into the hands and arch the spine. Don't worry too much about the breath today, just make sure you're breathing. So this is massaging the spine, and we're creating a little bit of space in between each vertebrae as we move. Taking your time, it's quite a slow movement, and the more you push into your hands, the stronger the stretch will be across the shoulders and into the trapezius muscles at the top of the back. Doing one more in your own time. And then coming back to a neutral spine. We're going to come to sitting. We're going to stretch out the top of the shoulders. You can either kneel or sit cross-legged, whatever feels most comfortable. If you're inside and you've got a cushion you can sit on, that might also just help a little bit. I've got a yoga box in the studio, but a rolled up towel can sometimes help as well. We're going to reach up with our hands, so reaching all the way up. Palms are inwards. And then my shoulders naturally come up, so we can drop the shoulders down and back, shoulder blades down and back. Still breathing here. And then we're going to stretch over to the left-hand side, reaching through the fingertips. Coming back up to center and over to the right-hand side. Still reaching through the fingertips. We're looking for a lateral stretch, a stretch down the side of the body. And slowly coming back up to center and drop the arms. Give the shoulders a big roll. They're up for a while. Big roll backwards, big roll forwards. Before we come up to standing, we're going to do what I call my motorbike stretch. We're going to make a fist. So it very much looks like you're holding a bike, and then we're pushing the knuckles forwards. So it's a forward movement. You might find you feel this quite strongly in the wrists. This is a really good one. If you're using iPads or laptops, phones, this is a good one to look after the wrists. And then stretching the fingers out and making fists. So really stretching the hands out. Just a couple more times. Lovely. And then gently take your time to come up to standing. I'm just going to move my laptop a little bit so you can see me standing up. So we're going to come into a forward fold, and again, this movement is quite tight for the hamstrings. Our feet need to be parallel and hip distance apart. So I'll show you what that looks like front on, and then I'll demonstrate sideways. A really good way of measuring hip distance is fists together. It's a really simple technique. It works for adults as well. So popping those fists together and in between your feet, and that's about hip distance. The toes are pointing forward, so your feet are parallel. That's the main thing here, okay? And then we're going to come into a forward fold. So have a softness in the knees, have the hands on the hips, and as we fold forward, we're trying to lead with the heart. So that will encourage us to fold from the hips rather than the waist. So breathing in, breathing out, and leading with the heart. So the heart's coming down first, leading, and then we're coming down, hanging there. Have a softness in the knees. If your hamstrings, if all those muscles are still very tight in the back of the legs, bend into the knees a little bit more, okay? Allow the head and the neck to relax. Have a look at the knees. Just make sure they haven't collapsed inwards or they're not moving out. They're still tracking above the ankles. Shoulders away from ears, and wherever you are, you can either hold opposite elbows or allow the hands to hang. I've got extra long arms, so I can cheat. Always looks like I've made it really easy. I've just got long arms, so they reach the floor really easily. Have that bend in the knees if the muscles are tight in the back of the legs. Keep breathing, and then take a moment to notice the weight, the body weight distribution over your feet. Have you rocked into your toes or your heels a little bit more? We want to try and keep that weight even to get the maximum benefit for the legs. Breathing, staying here a little bit, for a little bit longer. Maybe you can straighten the legs a little bit, reach the sitting bones up to the ceiling. We'll always keep a micro bend in the knees, just a very small bend in the knees to keep them safe. And then from here, I want to very gently keep the feet where they are and turn to the left. So if you're holding elbows, that's fine, just turn to the left. If your hands are on the floor, you can walk your fingers around to the left. The feet haven't moved, they're glued to the floor. Just a very gentle twist. And then coming back through center and going over to the right hand side. Coming back through center. And as we come up, we take our time. We've been upside down, it's an inversion. We've had our head below our heart for a little while now. So you're gonna have your hands on your hips. Bend into your knees, push into the feet, and take 3 to 5 counts to slowly come up. Lovely. How's everyone doing? All okay? A few thumbs up there, brilliant. We're going to come into triangle pose before we come back down. It's quite a simple pose, but there's a lot to think about. So we're going to step our feet reasonably wide, not too wide. The distance is about the length of your ankle to your hip. So think a little bit about that. And then we're turning the left foot out to point towards the left side of wherever you are, okay? So that's gone that way. My right foot is coming in just a touch. So I can draw a straight line from my left heel to the middle of my right foot. That's the alignment you want, a straight line from the left heel to the middle of the right foot. So just take a moment to do that. And when this leg is straight, our knee is doing a lot of work. So try and tense the muscles here in the left leg. So all the quads, we want to tense them up, make them really strong. You'll notice the kneecap moves a little bit. So tense those thighs up to keep the knee really safe. And then we'll breathe in and reach through the fingertips. So really reaching through the fingers. Allow the shoulders, try and drop them all the way down. And then we're going to go over to the left hand side. So slowly reaching over and bringing the hand to rest on the leg somewhere. The palms are facing away from you. And the gaze, you're looking towards the screen or to me. We're going to keep the neck safe this morning. So just make sure you've still got those quads working to keep the left knee safe. And this can be quite strong in the side of the body. You want to encourage your body to be in one line. So by that, I mean, imagine you are between two sheets of glass, okay? And you're in one line all the way through. Or you can imagine your back is against a wall. That sometimes helps as well. Still remembering to breathe. And then to slowly come up, bend into the left leg and push up through the feet to come up to standing. So when we bend into the leg to come up, it keeps our knee really safe, and that's really important. So we've got to do it all on the other side. We'll turn that the right foot out this time, and the left foot comes in just a touch, 30 to 45 degrees. So I can draw a line from the right heel to the middle of the left foot. That's the alignment we're looking for. And then we're going to think about our quads. So really engage those quad muscles. We're going to keep that right knee really safe. And then the body is in line with the hips and you're reaching through the fingertips. So take a big breath in here, breathing out, folding over to the right hand side. The palms are facing away from you and these quads are still working. Remembering to breathe. Notice, does it feel very different on this side? This is my tighter side. Two more breaths. And then we'll bend into that right knee, push up to come up and drop the hands. Give the shoulders a bit of a roll, the legs a bit of a shake. I want to do one more standing posture, just to strengthen the legs, but also to get into the upper back as well. So I'm going to demonstrate side on. We're going to take quite a wide stance again. So a bit like triangle, like we've just done, Trikonasana, but a little bit wider, okay? And the toes are just coming in about 10 degrees, not much, very little, okay? But they're parallel, so they're in line with each other, and the body is all in line, the torso is in line with the hips. We're going to clasp our hands behind us. So take a clasp behind here, breathing in and coming forward. So we're coming into a forward fold with straight legs. Think about the quadriceps again. So trying to tense those thigh muscles. And then wherever your hands are, try not to go too far. You're taking the hands away from the body. Allow the head and the neck to relax. And remember to breathe. Gently allow the hands to come down. Both hands or fingertips are going to be on the floor here. So come to wherever you can. We're going to have the right hand on the floor and the left hand is going to come up into the air. So the palms facing away from you. So the feet haven't moved. We're coming into a twist. So twists are really good for the body. We tend to fold forwards and backwards and sideways a lot with our bodies. We don't tend to twist the body. And these are really good ways to massage the spine and all the internal organs as well. Slowly bring the left hand back down to center. Place the fingertips or the hand on the floor. And then you're going to reach up with the right hand. And don't worry if you can't get all the way down, just encouraging the body to twist. slowly bringing that right hand down. Bend into the knees, push through the feet to come up. And once again, we're bending into the knees, so we're not locking them and keeping them really safe. We're going to come all the way down. We'll do one final pose, which is one of my favorites, Paschimottanasana. It's got quite a good name. Feet to begin with, legs are outstretched. We're in a sort of L shape, so you will really have to sit up tall here and make the back work quite hard. Shoulders are soft. We're going to bend into the knees just a little here, again to keep the knees safe. We're going to breathe and reach up with the fingertips, with the hands, and breathe out to fold all the way forwards. Shoulders away from ears. And maybe you're holding around the knees. Maybe you're holding around the calf muscles. Maybe you've got long arms like me and you can reach the feet or the toes. So it's not about how far you come. It's about finding some more length in the back of the legs and the hamstrings. And you'll see that my heart is trying to get towards my toes. So I folded from my hips rather than my waist. So we're trying to look for a lot of length in the lumbar spine and the lower back here. Wherever you are, make sure the shoulders have dropped down. And then slowly creep the hands up. Finish with, we're going to sit cross-legged, or maybe you would like to sit kneeling, just whatever feels comfortable. And we'll just finish with a few breaths, I should say. So bring the hands to the belly. It helps to close the eyes to bring focus inwards. So in yoga, we talk about the senses, the 5 senses distracting us. And if we close our eyes, we're less likely to be distracted and we're able to really think and feel the breath. Bring the hands to the belly and sitting up really tall. So if we sit tall, we create a lot more space for the breath. And taking a few breaths here, really breathing into the belly. And with the hands on the belly, you're going to feel the belly move. Taking 3 more breaths here. And then gently bring the hands together at heart center. So this joins both halves of the body together. And some say it joins both sides of the brain together. So you might feel a warmth in the hands because we've worked the body this morning quite hard. Hopefully you feel a bit more space to breathe and your legs feel a little bit longer as well. I finish all my yoga classes the same way. I take my hands up to my forehead to remind us to have kind thoughts, to my lips to remind us to have kind words, and back down to my heart center to remind us to have kind actions. And the way we often say goodbye in yoga is namaste.